how are you able to tell if this patient's workplace is making them sick? And let's focus on the top three, okay? Diabetes, hypertension, mental health issues. Of course, there might be others, back pain, we've heard about from Dr. Jean and others. But how are you, on the other end of things, how are you able to recognize that this person before me, his workplace is making him ill?
Right. Kojo, when patients come into the consulting room, we take them through a diagnostic process. And that process involves taking a history, which is usually a Q&A session. Doctor will ask a series of questions, and then the patient will provide appropriate answers, and then the conversation goes on and on. It's a structured format. Then there will be a physical examination, and then appropriate investigations will be ordered. Hopefully, once we go through these processes, we get a clue. If you go back to the history-taking portion, there are actually parts of the history, specifically a portion we call the social history, where we take a deep dive into the work they do, where they live, how much income they have, whether they are married, their social circumstances, all those things come into play. So depending on the patient's presenting complaint, it will give us a fair idea the origins of it. So I'll come to hypertension and diabetes in a bit. But could you let me use healthcare or medicine as a profession? It's a good example. Needle stick injuries unfortunately happen at every healthcare institution. And depending on the discipline within which you work, you are more at risk. So the surgeons experience this a whole lot. The nurses who are the primary professionals administering injections to patients are also at greater risk. So the risk of, say, contracting infectious diseases such as hepatitis B, hepatitis C, HIV is high if you work in a healthcare facility because of the risk of sustaining what we call a needle stick injury. Inadvertently, the needle you use on a patient who may be carrying one of these infectious pathogens then accidentally pricks you, and then you will get, or there's a high likelihood that the infection would be passed on. Abbas already talked about things like back pain. There are other organizations, for example, who have a specific dress code. So, could you like to look? You are quite fashionable in the way you present yourself, unlike Raymond, who is a man of the masses.
Thank you very much for drawing the distinction.
Dresses down most of the time.
Okay.
So if you work in certain organizations where you have to wear a shoe, proper shoe, Italian shoe, the black shoe,
yes,
that's Kojo Youngster like. If you have to put on high heels, skirt suits, well, you do a lot of damage to your ankles and then to your low back. If that is the only shoes you are allowed or footwear you are allowed to wear. I always say that trainers are the best. They are designed with the comfort of your feet in mind.
Amen.
So sometimes just the uniform code or the dress code of the institution makes it or put you at risk that you develop certain medical conditions.